Well, guys, I am finally getting a chance to sit and do a sit and chat video, which doesn't happen very often, but it's happening today. And I've been brainstorming some things to share that I think might help you just evaluate things to check if you might be too busy. It's kind of funny though, because as I was writing these, I was like, the title of this video shouldn't be "You might be too busy if," it should be "You might be too busy or have infants if, or have a bunch of little children if," because a lot of these are definitely things that I feel like could probably be present in your life if you have a new baby or little ones and a new baby, but that is seasonal. It's because of the age of the children and their never ending physical needs that only you can provide. And so we are stretched in a very unique way during that season of motherhood. As you come out of that season, I hope that you will establish the culture in your home and habits in your home that don't exclude these things that I feel are often lost because we're too busy. So with that one exception, this is a list of things that I've thought about, and I would love to hear your thoughts on other ideas that might be present in your life if you're too busy. It may not be that all these things are true about you, but even if some of them are true, it's something worth considering, something worth evaluating, something worth checking if you need to change something. And after I share the list, "You might be too busy if" is happening in your life, I'll share some possible solutions. And again, I would love to hear your thoughts and ideas on possible solutions. So if you hear my dogs snoring in the background, please excuse that. They're so cute. So you might be too busy if you have no time for leisure, just for the sake of leisure, something you like to do just to enjoy. I know that we're all different and we all have different things that we enjoy for leisure, but I would say it is so important to make time for yourself in the things that you enjoy, even if it's just one thing, even if it's just 10 to 20 minutes a day, because you have a lot going on. It is a blessing to yourself, to your mind, to your soul, to make sure you have time for leisure. And it might not even be daily, and that's okay. Just don't lose sight of the things you enjoy that feed your soul in a way. Some people love a good book. Some people like long walks. Some people really enjoy going and being in their garden. Some people just sit down and watch their animals. Everyone's different. And whatever it is that you enjoy for leisure, I encourage you to find time for it. But if you don't, if that sounds like an insane concept, you might be too busy. You might be too busy if you don't have time to move slow enough to include your children in tasks with you. Little children, and even a little bit older children, might slow you down with your tasks, but it is so worth including them. Not only are you bonding, but you're teaching and equipping and preparing for real life and engaging in such a beautiful way. You can interact with your children all day long and include them and make them feel needed and wanted and valuable in your home, which is such a powerful message. But if you don't have time to include them because that slower approach to whatever task you're doing will just derail your whole day, then you might be too busy. You might be too busy if your children have behavioral problems that you cannot correct because you don't have the time to dedicate to the consistent work that is required to help improve or correct a behavioral issue with a child. It takes a lot of time and consistency day in and day out. And if you don't have the time to do that, you might be too busy. You might be too busy if there's no playfulness in your home, if there's no joking around, if there's no lightheartedness, carefreeness, the time to laugh and joke around and just do silly things together, have inside jokes together of things you've watched or read, things that have happened in your family that you can refer back to and all know what you're talking about. We all have different things that make us goofy and we enjoy doing for laughs. I encourage you not just to be playful in your home with your kids and your husband and your family and as a family, but make sure that you laugh together. Laugh together. Life is supposed to be wonderful. And we're kind of showing our kids what life is. And if life looks unattractive and miserable and boring, then what are they going to pursue when they're out on their own? You might be too busy if you have no time to just sit and listen to your child talk to you, or play a game with your child, or read to your child, or draw with your children, or as a family. In fact, I would go as far as to say, and this isn't a fact, apply it if it's true for you, and if it's not, ignore it, because we watch movies from time to time, but if you watch movies and that is the only thing you ever do with your family, because it's the only, once you actually have time, that the only thing you have the energy and the mind space to do is to sit and watch a movie, you might be too busy. Movies are great, they're fun, they have their place, but engaging is so much better, but it takes effort and energy. And so if all your energy is spent on all the busyness, and so you're finally together as a family, and all you can muster up the strength to do is sit on the sofa together and watch a movie, sure, that's great. But if that's the only thing you ever do, you might be too busy, because the other stuff is more valuable and absent, and you're missing out. And so is your family. So that would be something to apply if applicable, and ignore if not. You might be too busy if you find yourself cutting corners just to survive. Or if you feel anxious or overwhelmed, a lack of peace, or a lack of enjoyment of life on a regular basis. If that is the norm, you might be too busy. You might be too busy if your priorities are suffering. Your basic care needs, your home cleanliness, time with your husband, time with your children, or as a family, exercising, eating healthy, sticking to your budget, sleeping enough, etc. There's more, I'm sure, but those are like the priorities that we should have, right? Making sure we're taking care of ourselves physically, and our families, and our relationships, and our home being orderly, clean, paid attention to. And if those things are lacking or falling through the cracks because there's just too many balls in the air, you are spread far too thin, you are just surviving, you might be too busy. You might be too busy if you never have any sit-down meals together as a family. It is proven outside of the Christian world, just family statistics, that children that grow up in homes where the family sits for at least one meal together per day, those children are more confident, they're more successful in life, they're less likely to fall into criminal activity, they are more confident, and they're more stable. What in the world? What is happening when you sit as a family together at a table for a meal? Some major stuff is happening. Some major messages are being sent consistently every day, at least one meal. It goes farther than you could possibly imagine. And it's not just about being a Christian family, it's the way human beings are designed by God, Christian or not. So it affects all humans in a positive way. So that is something that if you're not making time for, or seeing that takes place in your home, you might be too busy. You might be too busy if you find that you are always rushing, and that if one thing goes off your schedule, or you hit one hurdle, or one little unexpected thing happens in your day, all of a sudden everything is a catastrophe, mess, derailed. There's no room for error, or everything's blows up. You might be too busy. What a unpeaceful life that is. And I urge you to realize that that level of constant stress and spastic feeling is bad for your stress management. It's bad for your health. So in your efforts to do all these great things for your kids, you are hurting yourself, and probably them too. but you matter. So please consider that. Now, I would love to hear more examples that you guys can share. But I wanted to share just a few possible solutions or assist things that might lessen the load or help out. My first one is always say no more often. Stop saying yes to everything. Stop. There's something called FOMO, fear of missing out, that I don't suffer from in the slightest bit whatsoever. Oh, fear of missing out. You're not missing out. You are making your life what you want it to be. Have some sort of vision. How do you want to feel? How do you want to live? How do you want your kids to feel about their life? How do you want the tone of your life to be? And then make the necessary adjustments. Saying yes to everything or a lot is awful. It's awful. There's so much pressure and obligation that you're putting on yourself for no reason. Don't fear missing out. Fear losing what you lose when you say yes to everything and overbusy yourself so much that you're miserable. You're spread so thin. You're constantly overwhelmed and anxious. You're always spastic. There's no peace in your soul because you are creating a crazy world for yourself. Say no more often. Another solution to work towards is learn to love home. One of my biggest goals with my children was to teach them to love home. I barely went out when they were little. We did sometimes, and we had friends over, but the norm was we're home. Why would we leave? We had games and toys. We had the yard. We had our chickens. We ate snacks. We had nap time. We had reading, little walks and bike rides. It was heavenly. I love those simple years. And granted, I only have 2 children and they're very close in age. So that adds a whole new element to it all. I know, like when people have multiple children and different ages and all spread out, it's different. So I get it. But your children loving home, I feel like can be exemplified by us. And it communicates that home is a refuge, home is a place of peace and acceptance and freedom and love and comfort. And it really just teaches the heart to long for home even for the rest of their lives. And it also teaches them that they don't have to do something every day, that they can be creative and inventive, that they can enjoy their family as their core people, that they can be satisfied with simplicity. They don't always have to have something extravagant in order to be entertained or satisfied. I think it teaches contentment, patience, and probably so much more. So learn to love your home and teach your children to love home. You can be very fulfilled even if you're not running around everywhere trying to do all the fun things and not miss out on anything. This next one's a little probably controversial and unconventional for our culture, but I don't care. I think we need to reevaluate everything we're doing, and whatever is threatening your peace, whatever is threatening your priorities, whatever is threatening your relationships with your children, your husband, and the absolute essential things that you must guard and have intact in your home as a family, do away with them. I think team sports is one of, if not the biggest threat to family life in our country today. I do not like team sports. It runs you around ragged. It costs a lot of money. It separates the family. It keeps you away from home for numerous nights, possible weekends a week. It's exhausting and stressful. It threatens your eating habits. You have to either eat something on the road or pack something, which is more stress and more things. It's pressure because there's commitment, places to be at certain times with people depending on you. It interferes with freedom to schedule other things that could be more meaningful in the long term because you have to commit to that. And it sets you up for long-term commitment, because once a child tastes sports, if they love them so much, well, now you're kind of stuck forever, unless you're willing to fight the big battle of, no, we're not doing that because it's not good for our family. Sorry, buddy. You can play when you're a man. There's so much bad that it brings. I know there's great things that it brings too. I know. I am just not convinced that the great things team sports bring are unattainable elsewhere. And that's just my opinion. You can hate it. I promise you, I'm not judging you if you do team sports. Most people do team sports. I see it as a trap that most people have fallen into from pressure, and this is what you're supposed to do, and no one loves it. No one. No adult is like, I love sports. I love packing food or eating out or having to be somewhere multiple times a week or paying all this money or sitting in the bleachers for however many hours, controlling my other children that are not playing, or feeling like now I have to put them in sports too, so now we're all over the place. No one likes it. I never hear anything except the stress that team sports brings to families. And all I'm thinking when I hear it is, why are you doing this then? Stop then. Stop. And the truth is, it's for the children. The children, the children, the children. And I'm sorry, but that's not how I think. Long term, it's more important to be together as a family and to do things that are going to be more impactful and meaningful and important for the child's life long term. I know there's exceptions. There's always exceptions. There's that 1 out of 100,000 that make it to the big leagues. And then the next question would be, is that what you want for your child? To make it to the big leagues? To be thrust into fame and fortune with all sorts of horrifying examples all around them all the time? So if you can quit team sports, I think you'll never regret it. I also think any commitments that you have, any commitments, evaluate your life. Anything that you can let go of it. Why would you do that to yourself? To have all these pressures and all these things, demands on you. Why would you choose extra pressures and demands? Embrace your freedom and say yes to what you want to say yes to, and say no to the majority of things so that you can actually be free and flexible. Because the more things you say yes to, even if it looks nice and tidy on paper, the reality is it's going to be a crazy world. I highly doubt that you'll ever look back and regret dropping commitments and gaining less stress and more time with your family. I don't think the answer is in all these extracurricular activities and things for our children to be a part of. I mean, look at the stats in our health and depression and stress in our country. We have more anxiety and stress, more depression among teens than we've ever had in all of history and in anywhere in the world. I really just don't think that all the extracurricular things are the answer. I think more family time with more peace and a more slow-paced life with less pressure is the answer. Because even if you're the one juggling everything, your kids feel the stress because you're stressed out of your mind, so they feel the stress. So they're being affected by it just as bad as you are, if not worse, and you're setting them up to be that way too, and then to feel like they have to do all these things. I want to show my kids that they don't have to do anything that everybody else is doing. They can design their life in this free country to look how they want it to look. And I don't want to live a child-focused life either. Of course I care about my kids. Of course I care about their social lives and the things that they do for fun, but we don't need to break the bank for them to be happy, and we don't need to sign up for a million things for them to be happy. I have gone out of my way, and this is what I would encourage as another possible solution, to find things that you enjoy as a family together and do them. Include friends in those fun things that you enjoy. We have game nights, we have water days, like pool days. We have airsoft days here for my kids. They're teen boys now. They've discovered their hobby and their huge interest in airsoft. So we have kind of spread the interest among our friends, and people come over here and they play airsoft. If it wasn't airsoft, it would be something else. It might be wiffle ball. But game days. Bring people over to your house and enjoy sports leisurely in your yard, in your street. If you have property on your property, do fun things for your kids. It doesn't have to be extravagant. Don't look at Pinterest. Just invite people over. When you have people, fun happens, and you can have a loose, easy, low pressure agenda of like, we're playing board games, so everybody bring a board game, or we're playing wiffle ball, so come with the right shoes. And people play and have fun and have a great time, and it's free and flexible and not a weekly commitment at a certain time every day at the same place. And you can mix up the group too. There's so much freedom in designing your own schedule. And you don't have to feel the pressure and the busyness because it's not a constant, a long-term commitment. So that's what we've done. We've done sports here. We've had football, we've had volleyball, we've had wiffle ball, we've had kickball, we've had soccer, and whatever else happens, you know, like they figure it out. Frisbee, manhunt, airsoft, swimming, picnics, water balloon fights. Like, we've done a lot of fun things, and they were all almost free, or free. And it's just a one-time thing, you know? So there's ways around the pressure, the cultural pressure. Definitely take the time to find something that you enjoy together as a family, play games together, read books together, go on walks together, work out together, play sports together, camp. You know, it can be even in your backyard or your living room. Like, you can get so creative if you're not go big or go home mentality. All the little daily regular things are significantly more impactful than the huge things. And all the little regular daily things are the things that shape your children. So if you're having stress every day, you're shaping your children. If you're overwhelmed, busy beyond belief, unable to relax, have leisure, invest in your relationships with your children, you are shaping your children in that way. And I think that that is more regretful than canceling some things in your life. At the end of your life, you'll be glad that you canceled those things that were threatening your relationship and the shaping of your children. It's a big move for some people for some reason. People that have FOMO, I guess, struggle with it worse. But the cost is so high, you won't regret it. You will not regret it. And then remember yourself. Life, your kids are going to grow up and lead their own life one day. If they want to do something that you don't do for them, let them do it later when they have their own money and their own time and their own life. It's okay to say no to something your child wants to do. Of course, they'll say no to everything, but it's okay to make a decision based on how you don't want to live. I did not want to live the sports family life. It sounds like a nightmare to me, a nightmare. My kids have on and off through the years mentioned here and there, we should play baseball this year, or we should try, really baseball's the only one they've ever mentioned, but you know, it just didn't happen, and they're fine with it, and I have zero regrets, you know? So it's just, we have this child-centered mentality that is wrong. And that is not to say that the kids don't matter. I care so much about them and providing a fun social life for them, but not at the expense of my sanity. And we have to remember that this is our life. Like, why would we make our life so miserable thinking that it's for the kids? No, we all want to be happy, not all stressed and miserable running around. I hope this video has encouraged you in some way or another. Please share your thoughts in the comments below, and please don't forget to share your thoughts and ideas to add to this list. Thank you all so much for watching. God bless you all, and see you soon.